3, 2, 1.
John Lennon's Imagine is a monstrosity. It's a moral, musical monstrosity. It is so deeply immoral and deeply evil, and yet it's put over this kind of pretentious, these long, pretentious piano chords. Anybody who believes the crap in this song, you should never have any sort of conversation with them. It's a waste of your time. It's a waste of your brain power.
And that was my Ben Shapiro impression. I'm Adam from Your Movie Sucks, and this is Sardonicast.
Wow. We might have to cut that down.
Yeah, I'll take care of
it. Hi, I'm Ralph from Ralph the Woodmaker.
And I'm Alex from IHE. And I don't want to jump off the Ben Shapiro thing instantly, but there was something I have to shout out at the beginning here before I forget.
Sure.
This Tuesday, I randomly got a text from my mother saying, "We don't say sprinkles, it's hundreds and thousands." So it's... And I saw in the comments of that episode, people were pretty annoyed. Like, are you even British? I don't know that sprinkles are hundreds. I gotta admit, I gotta take the loss on that.
Oh my god!
I didn't know. I don't think I've ever bought sprinkles. I don't think I've ever searched for sprinkles, or even thought about it. To be honest,
I do love the idea of you getting a text to enforce that you do not say sprinkles. We don't say sprinkles in this household.
We don't say sprinkles. It's hundreds of thousands.
This is a hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds and thousands. Yeah, hundreds and thousands, full stop. And that was it. That was the full message. Thanks, man.
That's lovely. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. I had to equal things out there. But anyway, Ben Shapiro.
Yeah,
run, hide, and fight.
He's an art critic now. I mean, the John Lennon's Imagine take is pretty old, but yeah, he's been talking about movies lately on his YouTube channel. He's also doing YouTube sponsorships for wireless headphones and stuff. It's kind of interesting. He posted a new video very recently that I watched this morning.
We should have had him as a guest.
No.
And now he's
No. Anyway, to summarize the video I watched, which was absolutely hilarious, it's titled something like "Popular Hollywood Films That Are Secretly Conservative or Unintentionally Conservative," and his argument was that basically every movie is a conservative movie because the characters are rewarded through virtue, and virtue is inherently a conservative principle. So it's literally, you can't be virtuous without being conservative. That's his argument. He says that A Quiet Place is pro-life because the moral of the story is that you should have a baby even if there are good reasons not to. He says that Soul is pro-life because the souls exist before birth. He says Arrival is pro-life. He says The Florida Project is about family values and the fallout of not having a good father figure in the home. And my favorite part of the video,
oh my god,
is when he said, "We're talking about movies here, and if you want to watch movies with the best sound possible, here's what you need: Raycons." And then he goes into his sponsorship. It was so fucking funny. I burst out laughing today. It was awesome.
That's great.
Oh man, art critic Ben Shapiro.
Yeah, but it's very serious, and then he goes into a sponsorship.
I don't know how much he believes the words that he says, but yeah, to some degree it's serious.
Well, I crapped on a bunch of Bruce Willis movies, and then I sponsored Ridge Wallets, but that's different. Bruce Willis movies suck.
I would argue Bruce Willis movies better fit the point that he was making, right? Yeah. If you wanted to say here's some conservative movies that you should watch that are family values, just throw in some fucking Bruce Willis movies. What was that Eli Roth one? That people said was
Clint Eastwood movies.
Yeah.
Clint Eastwood movies are blatantly conservative. Hacksaw Ridge.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're so I don't know why he has to overanalyze those. It's a bit overanalyzing.
Well, his point is he's trying to say that Hollywood is extremely liberal, and he's projecting saying that Hollywood only watches and appreciates and enjoys films based on their political leanings, which, I mean, obviously there's people in Hollywood that do that, but basically he's trying to say that it's hypocritical for movies to get Oscars if they're conservative or something. So he needs to pick out ones where it's oh, I know liberals love this movie, which is weird because it was A Quiet Place was his first one, but I don't know. That's not
Alex, what are your thoughts on this? What do you think of this madness?
As you said, I don't even know, as Adam said, what what he actually believes that comes out of his mouth. It seems like he's like made a brand out of the like controversial like mouthpiece kind of takes that he has.
Yeah.
And everyone keeps talking about him, and he's pretty popular and everything, so whatever he's doing is working for him. He's like already come to the conclusion, obviously, and he's just like scouring movies for any like vague imagery or ideas that he can just assign to his political agenda or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a bizarre way to like assess art in any way.
Mm-hmm. It's he's the new Armand White. He should become verified on Rotten Tomatoes or something. He should be a verified critic. He's got the right pull.
Yeah.
He's got enough of an audience.
I'm just not sure what to say about it because it's just so stupid.
Right? It is kind of funny.
He's memed hard too.
Oh yeah.
Like the Ben Shapiro memes. I mean, you can't escape it. That when you started playing that voice at the beginning of the episode, I sent chills down my spine. He's got one of those kind of characters.
Mm-hmm. He's got a wet ass P word. He's a meme machine. Whoa, voice crack. He's a meme machine in ways that he doesn't try to be. But he made a film recently, but he didn't direct it. I guess it's just produced by the Daily Wire.
I think he is by name like executive producer. I think I saw on IMDb and in the credits.
Okay, he executive produced a film called Run, Hide, Fight, which
this is a bad title. I'm sorry.
Sequel to Live, Die, Repeat.
Yeah, well, that's what it sounds like. Live, Die, Repeat, which was the second title.
So when I was trying to find this movie before it was like officially released, sort of thing, and there was just like a premiere on thedailywire.com or something. So I was looking off of YouTube and other places, off of iTunes, all that stuff. And so when I was searching into Google Run, Hide, Fight, I actually found, what was it? The FBI? I think the FBI's website, there was like a training video called Run, Hide, Fight. And it was basically this like modern YouTube video that was unlisted, but accessible on their website, being like, oh, here's what you do if you're in the middle of a shooting, if you're just having drinks with your friends. They go through the whole Run, Hide, Fight thing. It's not even really like a bad, PSA, I guess. There's some useful stuff in there. So I'm assuming that's what they base the title off of, is the FBI video, even though that's not like super old. But like it would be weird to have that much of a coincidence,
Yeah, I guess I didn't really consider the title, like where it came from.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of any other interpretation. It's quite simple, isn't it?
Alex and I watched this film. Ralph did not. He had better judgment.
You missed out on the best comedy of 2020, though, Ralph.
Oh yeah,
you liked it, Alex?
It got poor reviews.
Absolutely adored it.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Oh yeah.
No. Yeah, I mean, it's like a pro-gun school shooter movie.
Yeah.
It kind of that's it. Like it ends there almost.
Shit. Yeah.
It wasn't until 20 minutes in where it really kind of reached its peak hilarity and badness to me. They have like a squad of school shooter, like spoilers, I guess.
Oh yeah, well we're spoiling the whole thing. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, so it's aside from being like insanely predictable for the first 20 minutes, where like the main character goes hunting with her dad and they're like showing off their rifles and everything. And I was like fine with the first like quarter of an hour. Then the school shooting like just comes in out of nowhere. They like crash through the wall of the school in a white van.
Drive through the wall. It was pretty funny.
Oh, God.
And then a Heath Ledger cosplayer comes out and starts doing his best Joker impression with some of the most like embarrassing dialogue. For those of us just joining us, this is a school shooting. This kind of shit.
Yeah. You
created me. You're really pissed at my cornflakes. Just weird dialogue and stuff coming from a character of this ilk. The performances are awful. Just the way the movie flows and the way it all comes together. It's so like just shocking for shocking's sake. It's graphically violent at points. I kept thinking about and you'll know what I'm talking about, Adam. You know, in season 2 of 13 Reasons Why, they nearly almost do a school shooting. They nearly almost
They
do
almost do it in season 4 too. There's two school shootings in that show.
Yeah, I feel like this is about as good as a 13 Reasons Why episode would be
if they followed through on
the
it,
topic.
you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Quality level, it's there.
Yeah. It had some just really bizarre choices. Because some like kind of well-known actors are in there. Thomas Jane shows up.
Yep.
He played like the Punisher. Radha Mitchell from the
Discount Naomi
Silent
Watts
Hill movie. Yeah. Her in particular, Radha Mitchell, she plays a ghost in the movie.
Oh yeah, Cancer Mom.
And to make her warm and loving, they give her like she's always got a mug in every scene.
Oh yeah,
she's
sipping her tea.
Which I found, which I found a bizarre choice because in these intense situations where she's showing up, I just felt like that was so distracting when she was holding that mug. Like
her presence alone was pretty distracting.
Yeah. That was enough. Another thing, 13 Reasons Why actually did a fair amount, but yeah, it's just an awful, egregious movie. But I did find it funny because it was just so poorly acted, so obvious, just like everything about it, like, you know, before you've even seen it. You know, if you see the trailer, you can figure out where this is going. I mean, within that first 20 minutes where they're doing like the hunting thing, like I just said to myself, oh, so she's gonna like do the same thing, the school shooter, and save the day. It's like crass and tasteless to me. It's like time and place. You know, for these like weird arguments you're trying to make, like a pro-gun school shooter movie, like it's an incredibly sensitive topic. I mean, are you just trying to annoy people and divide people? And yeah, it is. It's just very frustrating from that angle. Yeah, no, please continue. I want to hear your thoughts.
I was actually surprised that it wasn't more blatant and obvious, because what I was expecting from the film with the Daily Wire and Ben Shapiro being attached to it, I was expecting a bit more, I guess, obvious and blatant messaging politically, and it was there for sure. It was, you know, only in a couple lines did they say it very clearly. I think there was a Mr. Joker man was like, oh, look, what is the security guard gonna do? He's not even allowed to carry a gun, sort of thing. You know, like it was in those moments where it became like pretty obvious.
Yeah, and like the security guy's like pisses himself and cries and stuff. And falls over.
Yeah, so I'm reading about this right now. It I don't know if even if Ben Shapiro was executive producer, it might have been that they like bought the film, like it was pitched to them or something. Like, I don't know. But there's a lot of crew members apparently that expressed their frustration after the fact, asking if there was a way to remove your name from a crew list because they didn't want their name on the project with Ben Shapiro and Daily Wire, and if they had known, they wouldn't have worked on it.
That's
the
bad.
film's second AD said that. Okay. Yeah, it's, to me, I was expecting more of kind of like a lol cow kind of politics thing. What I got from it was just kind of a bad movie. It's like, politics aside, it's just not a very well made movie. It's, like you said, very predictable. The school shooter characters, whenever they were shown on screen, are just so difficult to take seriously.
So embarrassing.
They're so awkward. They look like they've never held a gun in their lives. They're like, it doesn't seem threatening.
They're
It's
like
just like it looks like they're not given any direction and they don't know what to do. They're all kind of doing their own thing, and it was really weird. Yeah. And there's a lot of horrendous dialogue, especially near the beginning when they're like starting everything. It's just like, oh god, these characters do not talk like people, let alone high school students. You know, like they don't talk like human beings.
Yeah, that was a good point. Yeah, they all looked like in their 20s. No one even remotely looked appropriate.
Yeah, it was. Why is my voice dying? Oh, probably because I was yelling at a stupid video game yesterday called The Medium. It was bad. Yeah, very boring shot composition, lots of forced fake drama between characters. I want to get back to the ghost mom because, like, what they did with her character was so fucking bizarre. She said that she becomes healthier in the afterlife if the daughter character does all the good things virtuously for the school shooting. So because she didn't run away, even though the first word is run, so it's like run. Okay, I want to put this into perspective. The FBI training video said that those are your 3 options in order. If running is not possible, then you hide. If hiding is not possible, then you fight. Right? That's what the FBI training video was saying. And yet in the film, she's able to run away and decides like, no, this is America, and goes back. And Ghost Mom's like, well, now that you're saving the day, my cancer is becoming non-existent as I'm a ghost. And so like every time she sees her mom as a ghost, she starts removing all of her like cancer makeup. Like she grows her hair again. She's not like in a hospital gown or something. I don't remember. But yeah, she like...
That's right, yeah.
She was bald at the beginning and then looks healthier and grows her hair out as a ghost by the last time we see her in the film. and it's just such a goofy concept, especially given that those scenes are like some of the more serious ones to take. Like it's not done as a joke. As a joke, it would be awesome. I would love that in a joke movie.
Yeah.
But it's not, and that's what's really weird about it.
It can't really decide what it wants to be.
Oh man, I noticed in my notes they played patriotic music as she turned around and decided to go back to the school. I remember that.
Yeah. I mean, the basic plot is Die Hard, but set in a school. And it's kind of presented in a similar way. It's really strange in that way. Like the shooter's got like his henchmen and stuff, and they don't feel like students coming in. It is very Die Hardy. So then the main character like sneaking in and then taking out the bad guys, like that works for a film like Die Hard. You know, it's a campy action movie. You know, simple rules, simple stakes. Like it's different when you apply it to something like this, because school shooting movies already are quite difficult to get right. They're quite controversial things, just these shooter movies.
Yeah, like Paul Greengrass that wasn't even a school, but like, yeah, any kind of tragedy movie, like I would just say most directors shouldn't touch it. I've never heard of this fucking guy before. Like,
yeah, this is an action movie. Elephant was like a real film.
Elephant was
like
awesome.
A drama.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like Polytechnique's all right, The Dirties.
Yeah, The Dirties.
Yeah, those movies in comparison, that they have a clear vision of what they're going for. Whereas when you are throwing in like this Die Hard kind of plot at the same time as having these kind of ghost elements, and it's just like a lot of confusing stuff for, and the just the decision, the setting is just so tone deaf to me. Like, what statement are you trying to make by setting it there? It just, really kind of shocking.
It's topical. It's a movie for Americans is what it is.
Maybe that's why I didn't get it.
If you're going to have a shooting, it might as well be in a school. Or just, I guess, shooting movies in general, if we're going to be honest.
But like, what? They don't really expand on the school shooters' motivations too much. It's very just like, oh, wait, that you just said it, like, and that's your whole thing.
Oh yeah, the one kid was bullied, and they made fun of him for his pants were down at some point, and then she convinces him to join her side by saying, you'll be extra embarrassed when you die, because that's all they're going to remember you for is having your pants down. So she, like, basically uses, like, she becomes, like, a bully to persuade him. It's really weird. It's very bizarre what they kind of suggest is the correct approach to take in this film. It's what really bugs me about this is, like, you look at Ben Shapiro's YouTube channel, and he's released videos at this point. I don't remember exactly which one it's within, but he's released a few videos on the Run, Hide, Fight thing, some complaining about the Rotten Tomatoes score, et cetera, et cetera. But there was one where within the video, he had on some sort of, like, I don't know, FBI expert or there was some credential attached to it, and he brought him on to his YouTube show to say Run, Hide, Fight is, like, exactly accurate to, like, what should be happening in a school shooting, or, like, you know, he was basically trying to legitimize it in a practical, real life way without the lens of, like, this is just purely entertainment, right? And that's what kind of bugs me about it, because there's so many things about the movie that are just, like, A, stupid to do, and B, unrealistic. Like, she gives one of the shooters a gun. She gives one of the she thinks, I mean, she does in the movie because the movie's stupid. She persuades him to join his side and unties him and gives him a gun. You shouldn't do that in real life, Ben. Right? Like, so don't pretend like this movie is like, oh yeah, like this is like what you should be doing in a school shooting. But yeah, like, he brought this guy on his show to say like just how realistic it is. And there's so many things about the movie where it's just like, this is not like, this is nothing like a modern American situation. This is basically sorry, Ralph, I need to explain this to you. The shooting itself is so fucking drawn out because only the kids in the cafeteria know that it's happening for like the first half hour plus of the film. And so they try to do like a lockdown, but the person, the secretary at the front desk or whatever is like, oh, I guess we don't really know there's a school shooting, so I'm not going to do it, even though she like got a phone call or something. And so like that's one of the like messages they're trying to send. But like even after there's like an alarm that rings and the students are like getting out of class, then it's like, oh, false alarm, and they're all put back. I'm sorry, there are kids that would be communicating with each other with their cell phones. Like, they have cell phones. They would be texting. Like, the kids in the classes, A, like, wouldn't be not on their phones. B, like, would get a message from somebody. Like, there are kids inside the cafeteria live streaming it. And so to imply that, like, all these kids just wouldn't know that this was taking place this entire time, even after they've left the class and the first thing they would do would be to check their phone. Like, and then they just go back in. It's like, well, guess there's no school shooting. It's like, what? None of this is realistic. That's so to try and attach this to like a real life scenario is just fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, to enforce what you're just saying, there's a point where she's like in the outskirts of the school trying to warn people about going in, covered in blood, like screaming, and they like don't believe her. And it's like, what is going on in this universe you're creating? Like there are guns being fired, people being slaughtered, all the live streaming. Like it just made no sense in the way all that should go down. It is a Batman movie. It's genuinely a Batman movie. If you make the main character like Batgirl, and then the main guy is the Joker, like that, it's like a comic. But within just a really, it would have been a better movie. It would have been tonally more.
The only American here fucking didn't even watch the movie. It just looked like trash.
You betrayed your country, Ralph.
Yeah, it just looked like shit.
The main school shooter guy comes out of his like van with his girlfriend and like snogs her and stuff. It's like, what? Yeah, loads of school shooters like come in with their girlfriends and like they're like, what are you talking about with this?
Yeah, they're like a coordinated group that like one of their motivations was just I got bullied in the 6th grade, but they're like, and they wanted all the attention, like the media attention, like there was some master plan or some shit. It was so weird. And then by the end of the movie, the main school shooter escapes somehow, and then he left like a wallet and passport, like a bunch of money and a passport, like in a box in the trees, like 40 feet away from the school, and goes towards it. And nobody else notices him going there except the main character, who borrows her dad's rifle. Is like, I need this now, and then kills him and doesn't ask for any police help. Which I mean, like, Ben, are you saying that that's what you should do in a situation like that? Fucking vigilante your own way there without any help from law enforcement? You want to defund the police or some shit, Ben? What are you talking about? Anyway, yeah, it's so bizarre. So bizarre.
Yeah, it's a classic Joker plan. Where it's like, okay, now we're ready for phase B. It's like, what are you talking about? It's really embarrassing.
I like when there was like a balloon room and she like jumped on the shooter from like the ceiling.
That's
like,
right, yeah.
Like from nowhere.
Yeah, because I'd written down in my notes balloon stealth, and I was trying to remember what that meant because it's been like a week since I've seen the movie. Yeah, that's right. But there's all sorts to remember with this, but it is just...
It's a superhero movie.
A superhero movie's trapped in a school shooting... Daily Wire presented. It is just like a bunch of random like sentences. Yeah. Just sounds like nonsense trying to describe it.
A Joker plan.
Yeah.
I have 2 school buses.
Yeah.
Both have a detonator for the other bus. It's like some nonsense like that.
Yeah.
Except it doesn't go that far. It's like really held back. It's just it's a really
probably not even that creative.
Small scale, like lowish budget. Probably I don't know how much the budget was. Probably under 10 million. I don't know what we're going to consider to be a low budget.
You'd imagine.
It might be like 5 million or less. I don't know.
Maybe they just wanted to make an entertaining movie. Although you mentioned the FBI guy talking about how realistic it is. But it's just like, yeah, I don't want this movie to be boring. It's got to have a bunch of awesome scenes of like shooting and like they make it like an action movie, which is, it's like what Michael Bay did with Pearl Harbor.
Mm-hmm.
This just made it like dumb.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that like the director made this film for the same reasons that Ben Shapiro is promoting it. I'm not convinced that the director made it for that
I don't
reason.
even know if he's seen it, Ben Shapiro. What else has this guy made? This Run Hide Fight.
Yeah, Kyle something. Let's see. I couldn't find the budget, but
Carl Rankin.
Yeah.
Nothing I've heard of.
The Witch Files, Infestation, a bunch of like
exactly,
like
right?
genre stuff. Yeah, and that really shows like the genre stuff. It's like directed that way.
Mm-hmm.
Really not a competent film, regardless of political leanings, but I know that Ben Shapiro doesn't understand what that means. So he thinks that everybody that dislikes the movie is disliking it because it's like inherently conservative, which is very strange because now he's making arguments that every movie is inherently conservative. So
it's just bad press.
Yeah,
it just adds to the crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, it also meant he could like militarize his fan base and get them to like rate it highly on
to upvote the movie
social
on
media. Yeah, and upvote
whatever.
to give it 10 out of 10.
It's desperate.
Yeah, you will notice a lot of 10 out of 10 ratings on IMDb. Like a supreme amount of votes that showed up around the time when Ben Shapiro was promoting the film on his channel, and now the overall user rating is slowly going down. Suspicious.
Yeah.
35%, 10 out of 10.
He was using his platform to promote the movie, basically.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which you're allowed to do.
A movie that no one would have really seen or talked about otherwise.
That Arctic movie, Joe Parra posted a trailer. It was like, of course, you made the movie.
Joe Penna?
Is that his name? Or Joe Parra?
Penna? I think it's with an N. Let's check it out.
Yeah, I said Penna, right?
I thought you said Para. Never mind. Sorry.
Oh,
just continue.
Whatever it is. I can
bad.
say both. Joe Penna. The editor will fix that.
Mystery guitar
anyway,
man.
Whatever we were saying. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Doing that.
Yeah, it's just make more fucking competent movies. I don't care if it's conservative or whatever. Like, I really don't. If fucking The Florida Project and Arrival are conservative movies according to Ben Shapiro, then fuck it. Like, there's like, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's just conceptually just a bad movie, just a bad idea. Should just never have gone beyond any kind of pitch.
Poorly presented.
Mm-hmm.
It just I don't know. It takes itself too seriously.
Execution's bad. It's not a good action movie.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's probably the biggest thing. Like the tonal thing. Like you have such a serious subject, and then they come out with these like action movie quips while they're like finishing people off at point blank range. It's just something very, very strange about it because of that subject matter. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, I think it's also like it might be kind of like and this isn't inherently conservative or anything, but it might be just one of those like fantasy things. I think a lot of people like to imagine themselves in situations of shootings or terrorist attacks and like project themselves onto this like imaginary idea of like, I would go back and save the day, and like, I think this movie is essentially
That's what
just
Die Hard's for.
that little fantasy. Oh yeah, exactly. Die Hard is a perfect example of that, but it's like a good movie at the same time, right? Whereas this is just purely the fantasy with no good movie elements in there. Like just terrible dialogue, not very well filmed at all. Really distracting.
Terrible acting.
Yeah, the acting's not great, but we should give the school shooter a nomination so he can be the third Joker to win.
He's probably got like a whole Tumblr or something dedicated to him.
Maybe. I don't know. All right, what would you give this out of 10?
I'd probably give this a 1 star, maybe a half star, depending on my mood. The only thing that would prop it up is the humor factor. That I did laugh a lot of times, or a lot more than a lot of comedies, to be honest. But it is just like a weird Batman plot shoved into a school shooting story. Politics aside, it's just a badly made movie. I really can't recommend or appreciate much about it. Like, 1 star.
I'm giving this one a 3 out of 10. Wasn't as horrendous as it could have been, but still pretty bad. Pretty funny. Pretty funny movie. Not as funny as other bad movies you could watch, but there's still something there. Cancer Mom is pretty great. Yeah, some... It wasn't the most boring thing ever made, although it was pretty boring.
Yeah, I suppose that's one thing I could give it.
It was still boring, just not the most boring. It's almost 2 hours long.
Yeah.
They don't really do much. It's just a lot of incompetent police officers standing outside a building and one girl running around.
And peeing themselves and...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Watch something else.
The most incompetent cops ever. All right, we got a little bit of movie news, things that are happening in the movie world. One of these things that is happening is Nolan's breaking up with Warner Brothers. They're done.
Oh no!
Because the whole HBO Max thing.
It's funny.
So what are the exact details? He's not going to work with them again.
Yeah, he is done. They're toast.
It's nuts. His idol Kubrick, worked with Warner Brothers his whole career basically. So yeah, he's like, it was probably like very sad for him, but he's probably gonna go to Sony now because they like making movies in theaters.
True.
The Edgar Wright's movie, right? They shot it on film. Baby Driver.
Yeah, hopefully. I don't know. I mean, he's a huge name. Hopefully, they give him a bit more control over the marketing, because like with fucking Villeneuve, the way they destroyed the marketing for Blade Runner 2049 just pisses me off. Voice crack still.
Yeah.
My voice is dying. I'm sorry. So I'm sorry, everybody. It's just gonna happen today. I was yelling at the media.
I think Nolan will be fine. Yeah, but
Hopefully.
Yeah,
I was wondering what was going to happen after Tenet, because I obviously thought the movie was great, but it didn't do that well for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, what does he want them to do right now?
It still did well in China, but I don't know. I figured there would be a falling out because of that, because of the streaming. Maybe he just wants to do other things. I don't know. I don't think he's all for this streaming shit, though.
Yeah.
I think he just wants to make movies and put them in theaters and IMAX. And
He's going to have to keep fighting it.
yeah.
They're doing, but I don't know. It's like streaming and theater simultaneously. I would feel different about this if it was just streaming. But like, they're not disallowing him to have them in theaters. They're literally just doing both at the same time. Nothing's stopping anybody from watching a new Christopher Nolan film in theaters if he had stayed on with HBO Warner Brothers, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing. They were doing it simultaneously. So I don't know. It has to be purely a money thing. But I don't know how many people would go out of their way to see a movie in theaters when they don't want to see a movie in theaters anyway. Like, I don't know how big of a difference that's going to make financially. Doing it purely theaters versus both at the same time during a pandemic. And HBO Warner Brothers said it was just for this year too. Like, there was no indication that it would be also in 2022. They might be just testing out the market. I don't know. They want to see what happens. It's like it's an experiment. They're allowed to experiment and see what happens. But Christopher Nolan is like just completely divorced from them now.
Well, because they're losing money. So they needed to make money somehow.
Everybody's losing money right now.
Yeah.
Except AMC. Back up, baby. Buy the dips. That is not financial advice.
Well, the theaters are losing money.
Sorry.
Yeah. Especially when this episode will go.
What, because of that stock thing on Reddit?
Yeah.
AMC and, what's the other one? GameStop, yeah.
Yeah. GME.
That doesn't seem very
NOK,
very secure.
BB.
I don't know. I stay away from that shit. Yeah, it sucks about Tenet and all this. He'll still make movies. They'll still be great. I really don't care.
He didn't even have anything slated for 2021. Like, they could be back to doing regular shit by the time he has a new movie anyway.
Maybe. I mean, who knows? he makes movies like really quick.
He does,
like,
actually.
Every 2 years, there's a Nolan movie.
Yeah, I guess he would have to sign a deal before.
Right, he signs a deal, fucking starts shooting like the second the movie comes out, like the last movie he made.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy, but you know they're always awesome. He develops them for a long time, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the purism thing. I understand to a certain degree, like true film and the full experience. We all value that.
Yeah,
but like, you said it's in a pandemic. We still want to see your movies. Like, it's fine. Why can you not just do this for like a couple years or something? These truly out there circumstances no one was ready for.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
It's in a pandemic, and no one is restricting anyone from seeing the film in theaters. They're pushing it to theaters simultaneously. The option is still there and available. I don't see the huge deal. It's weird. Christopher Nolan is a big baby. He calls HBO Max now, he says, worst streaming service. He sounds like fucking comic book guy. No.
Yeah. Worst movie ever.
It's so weird. So bizarre.
Terrible.
I wish him well.
Yeah. HBO Max, I just got it. They have tons of good movies on there. So
I would love for HBO Max to come to Canada. It seems like they
Yeah,
have fucking
come to
Moral
UK.
Oral in HD. They Xavier Renegade Angel in HD for the first time. Like tons of Adult Swim stuff. I want that same shit in Canada. Holy fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Are all the HBO shows on it?
Yeah.
What, so like The Sopranos, The Wire?
Sponsor us. We're doing an ad for free right now. I'm pretty sure all the HBO shows are on it. Yeah.
Dude,
I know, isn't
I'm
it
missing out
stupid?
over here.
Yeah. Bring it outside of America.
Yeah, I spend like 80 quid like every few months on one of those big series just so I can watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Damn.
that sucks. Now I have so many streaming services, though.
Yeah.
I gotta cut some out.
That's
You gotta
becoming
get
its own problem.
Peacock.
Yeah, it is. No, I'm not gonna peacock.
Who makes that one?
It's
It's,
NBC,
like
because their
NBC
logo
Universal.
is a peacock feathers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right. I
Mhm.
guess we don't have that here.
So I guess they're gonna like take back The Office and put it on their own.
So it'll do well. The Office is on there. Jurassic Park movies.
Jurassic
that
Park.
Stuff.
Oh, is NBC Universal? Oh, I guess they're the same. aren't they?
Universal.
Oh,
yeah,
shit.
anything Universal.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's already piracy's going back up already. Like there's no like no one's getting all
Yeah,
this
yeah.
shit. I want
Yeah, but
Netflix and HBO Max and maybe the Criterion Channel someday.
Disney Plus is doing great.
I don't
Criterion
want Disney Plus.
Channel I want to get.
The Disney Plus is like I've read recently that they have like a bunch of adult titles from Fox and from like Touchstone and all that
Yeah.
stuff where it's owned by Disney,
Yeah.
but they're not putting it on Disney Plus because Disney as a brand is supposed to remain child friendly, which is funny because they have The Simpsons on there and there's some, I don't know, I guess Simpsons is child friendly now, but yeah, they're gonna basically have all the adult titles. They're planning on doing it as like an add-on or like a separate service or some shit, which just sounds awful.
Mhm.
And I'm just morally opposed to the idea of giving Disney money for things, you know? Like spending like a set amount of money every month for a service that I'm probably not going to be using except for like once every 6 months when I'm forced to watch like whatever new Pixar movie, you know? Like I just see that as like a moral wrong. I could not stomach it. I could not live with myself if I did that. So can't do it.
What about like Amazon Prime?
Oh yeah, well I already
Do you
have
consider
Prime.
that one a moral wrong?
Well, because I'm actually getting a service that I use out of it at least. It's the free shipping, you know?
Yeah, true.
I don't give a shit. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have Amazon Prime for their movies if I didn't already have Amazon Prime for their
Mhm.
shipping shit.
There's enough movies to make it worth it, like worth having.
Yeah.
I watch Gotti on there all the time.
No matter what company you give your money to, you're committing an immoral act, basically, at this point. At this point in this year.
Mhm.
Amazon is pretty bad, but they have a very convenient service. I'm able to get things from them at a quick time. There's a pandemic. I don't want to go outside to buy
Disney
things.
owns so much. Disney owns like Coca-Cola even.
No way. Disney doesn't own Coca-Cola. No, they don't.
Okay.
Yeah, what?
What?
Exaggerating. Yeah, it's just Disney is something where like I don't think I would be using the service really. Like I can't imagine what I wouldn't like. Why would I pay for something I'm like barely ever going to use? Same reason why I wouldn't pay for like Apple TV Plus. It's like there's just not enough on there that I would like regularly use it.
They have literally nothing. I don't know.
I feel like I get my money's worth out of HBO Max more than anything else. There's more stuff on there that I feel like I'd be consistently watching. And then Netflix would be a close second, probably.
Yeah, agreed.
But yeah, we can all hope that Christopher Nolan signs a deal with Lionsgate or something, and then Lionsgate will get bought by Disney, and his movies will premiere exclusively on Disney+.
In 20 years, we'll probably have a Nolan Netflix movie, so...
Yeah, it's going to happen. He's trying to avoid it, but it's going to happen.
Wouldn't that be crazy if he went with Lionsgate? That would, like, save the fucking company.
I don't think they have enough money.
Exactly, I don't know. But, like, they would want it. I mean, all companies would want it, but it's like they need a new IP. They need something. Chaos Walking just isn't going to cut it. Unless you buy the dips. Chaos Walking to the moon.
Yeah, all they have is they have John Wick and Saw.
Yeah, and they're not using Saw. And also Tyler Perry movies, which might actually be enough to keep them going.
Yeah.
Tyler Perry Lionsgate. And also apparently the Rambo movies, I think.
Hellboy. But
Hellboy,
they
killed
Hellboy.
Hellboy.
While. They killed it, but he can come back.
Oh, they murdered Hellboy.
Yeah.
He can come back in 10 years.
Guillermo, please. We'll let you do the third one. Pretend like it never happened. That would be so smart. But they're so stupid they will never
Why did
do
they
that.
not?
Because they're stupid.
What the smart thing would have been would to let them do it.
Yeah.
To begin with, instead of wasting all the money on that other one they made.
Yeah.
Just don't get what they're thinking sometimes.
Even if they didn't break even on Hellboy 3, it would have been a better financial decision than the reboot.
Yeah. They should have greenlit it after that Oscar one.
Yeah.
The fish fuck movie.
Exactly. Yeah, he had some buzz. He just won fucking Best Picture.
The fish fuck movie.
That's the title, right? I think so.
Yeah,
What actually
good.
is it called?
Funny.
Shape of Fish Fucking.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, The Shape of Fish Fucking.
Shape of water.
Water. Other news. We talked recently about Southland Tales Can Cut. Well, there's another cut of the movie that is being announced. We're getting the Snyder cut of the Southland Tales. Basically, Richard Kelly is doing a 6 hours long director's cut, which I assume he would have to film a lot of shit for, right? Unless there's actually that much on the cutting room floor. Maybe he's just going to incorporate the comic book shit, or like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I bet you the first like 2.5 hours is just like the Rock voiceover reading the
yeah.
comics.
Just
or
like
something.
that shitty like motion graphics like comic.
Yeah, yeah.
That sounds awful. So it would be a mini series, basically.
I don't know. This is
Just a
very
6-hour
new information. Apparently, it's going to be a 6-hour long cut that will tell the complete story. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand how that's possible because I actually read those comics, and unless he's shot that stuff, where's he going to get the money to get this done? Like, The Rock's not going to come back for this.
Mm-hmm.
What? Unless there's a bunch of like unused footage, that's the only thing I could think of. Where's he going to get the money to do like all the? I'm sure there's a bunch of CG like special effects like shots and stuff.
He'll add a bunch of characters, I bet. But you read the comics? Is it like, were they written after this or during this?
No, it was before watching it because I was so confused by the movie and then just researched. Oh, like the first like half of the story is in comic form,
Okay,
which just takes any punch out of the yeah. It's not a very good comic either, but
Yeah, we talked about this movie. It's fucking awful. It's probably one of the worst movies we talked about.
yeah.
6 hours long version.
Yeah, that's one where like I really when movies have a rep, you know, when they have like a fan base that like just believes in it so deeply. I do want to like try and give it a benefit of doubt, but with that one, I can't. I can't with Southland Tales.
I'm so sick of these cuts, the director's cuts.
Mm-hmm.
Like just one or two, but there's like 8 cuts of these movies. Is this the third cut of it now? Fourth cut?
If they're doing the can cut, then this will probably be the third cut. Yeah.
No.
And apparently there's also a remake being made. That was announced in April.
When it came out, the film was originally trimmed down. Like 20 minutes were cut out, I believe.
So I'm assuming the director's cut right now, the can cut is the original version before it was cut down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they just released that on Blu-ray.
I was under the impression the can cut was full of like unfinished special effects and stuff, though, so unless you manage to get that finished, I really... I guess if people are clamoring for it, he's delivering, but it's not really...
Yeah, where'd he get the money for this, though? This is
Yeah.
Yeah, they could do it for Justice League. It's millions of dollars, though, to, like, finish a movie like this.
Yeah, I understand it for Justice League or, like, the extended Midsummer or something, but this, don't know.
Very bizarre. He must just be making enough passive income off of Donnie Darko, or maybe there's just producers that really like him. I don't think the Southland Tales fan base is nearly as big as Donnie Darko. Both are like kind of cult movies.
No.
They definitely have their own longevity to them. But Southland Tales, like, way less popular and way less well received, for sure, than Donnie Darko.
Are you going to watch it, though? If it's
the 6-hour cut?
That long.
Yeah. I don't fucking know. Like, what's coming out first, the prequel or the 6-hour cut? Or maybe they're both the same thing now. Because the prequel was announced in April. Maybe now he's just deciding to do the 6-hour cut, so, like, the prequel's in the actual movie. And then, like, how the I don't know.
So what is this prequel thing? Like, what do you mean? They've announced, like, a movie prequel?
April 2020 on ScreenRant.com. Southland Tales prequel will be hybrid animation and live action, says writer Richard Kelly, director of the cult smash. Donnie Darko has revealed ambitious plans to shoot a prequel to his much derided 2006 film
yeah.
Southland Tales. Sometimes I forget words or have never heard them. I'm stupid. All right. Yeah, I don't know exactly what this is all about. A lot of this is based off of his tweets.
But yeah, normally that kind of story comes from some kind of cult classic movie beyond a Southland Tales, you know?
Yeah, movie people care about.
Yeah.
Apparently there's enough people that care about it.
Like, I don't know if there are people clamoring.
This universe is not... Like, it's crap. No one cares about it. It's not Star Wars.
You
it's
say
not
no
Marvel.
one, but there are people that actually
no one
care
cares.
about it.
No. Like, people care about Marvel and Star Wars. Like, that's $1 million franchises. No one cares about Southland Tales and the universe and the comics. It's just like, just stop with this. How many movies are there of this one thing now? There's like 3 movies now.
It's
fucking crap.
Confusing. And
it's
you know,
I didn't want to watch it once.
Yeah. If you make something really confusing, then you'll get a certain chunk of people that will, you know, automatically assume that the film is smarter than them and not the other way around. And so those are dedicated fans.
Pimps don't commit suicide.
Yeah.
Yeah, the dialogue's terrible. It's not funny.
If you make something
do you think
convoluted
Dwayne Johnson
enough,
likes the movie?
Well, it's like the Neil Breen logic, because like he's always able to tell himself, you just don't get it. Like, nobody understood my movie, so anybody who disliked it, it's because they didn't understand it, right?
His
so if you make
movies
something
are not
convoluted
a drag to
enough,
watch. They're really funny and they're short.
Oh, they're
Southland
much better.
Tales would have been much better if it was shorter, but the thing is, it's way too long.
Oh yeah, and they're solving that problem by making it longer.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That will fix the movie.
I don't even mind crap necessarily, as long as it's short.
What are the great ideas in Southland Tales, though? You know, what are like the fantastic scenes that are like, oh, if this was just...
It's all really... It's just surface level.
We keep making fun of like bad movie posters. I just searched up the poster and Jesus Christ,
so
it
bad.
looks like it looks
terrible.
fake. It's got like The Rock there, Justin Timberlake,
Double Sean William.
Buffy the Vampire. It looks like a fake movie.
It's one of the worst movies The Rock has been in. That's really saying something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's very bad.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That Nervous Rock is awesome.
We can leave Southland Tales there.
Fuck.
Do we have anything else to say about Southland Tales?
No,
Garbage.
I guess not.
Yeah.
I guess.
I'll consider watching it if it comes out.
the full cut.
Yeah, 6 hours.
Although my gut actually tells me this is never coming out.
Oh yeah, that's also a possibility.
It probably won't. No, they probably won't have the money. I'll never watch it anyway. It's way too long.
Yeah.
I'll watch it over the course of like a month, 20 minutes a day or something.
Yeah, it's just the observations made in that film are just so surface level, and there's people that just keep telling me like, "Oh, you just don't get the movie." But I listened to the whole fucking director's commentary. I listened to the director explaining the movie, and I left with the same impressions. So that's why I believe what I believe, is because I literally heard the director explaining the whole fucking movie, and it was just as stupid. I was like, yeah, this is about what I thought. It's just fucking dumb and terribly presented. All right. I guess it's time for the movie recommendation from Ralph.
Yeah, so I recommended a movie. We're going to say spoilers here. We're like
Spoilers.
really early. For a movie by Quentin Tarantino called
Tortellini.
Jackie Brown. Quentin Tortellini. Jackie Brown. It's a really good movie. And it stars Pam Grier, Robert Forster, Sam Jackson. And it's just like a little heist movie. It's like a money exchange in a mall. Very straightforward, based on a book called Rum Punch. And I don't know, I think it's one of Tarantino's best movies, which is why I wanted to recommend it. And it's very different for him because it's based on a book. It's not just something he wrote himself. He didn't build it from the ground up. He based it on a book. And I think that made it much more interesting and subtle than his usual fare. It's got a like following behind it that's different, and they like the movie because of that. And it's very different from like, I don't know, what's another movie from him that's like really
Kill Bill,
with tons of shooting.
Pulp Fiction. Kill, like, any of them.
Yeah, literally any of them.
It's like you just name any other Quentin Tarantino
Yeah, there's
movie.
just tons of shooting, tons of cursing, this definitely feels like a Tarantino movie. It's not boring at all. He's a lot of stylistic choices that feel like him. It's got the film look. It looks really great. The colors of everything, essentially, basically. But it has like a real drama and like a groundedness to it, where the characters actually feel like real people. And I think that gave it a unique quality too. Talk about it. What do you guys think?
What do you think, Alex?
So I'd only seen this film once before because you know, when you first start getting into Tarantino, you start going through all his movies one by one, and then you do get to Jackie Brown. And if you've been watching all those other movies, it does stand out. It's different. But on my first viewing, I didn't really get what he was going for. But I think he said himself that it's kind of a movie almost designed around rewatching it and figuring out that different vibe it's going for. Because on the second viewing of it, I really enjoyed this movie. I really liked how it did feel like a progression of Tarantino, where he was filtering the violence. It was a bit more laid back. It was about just the dialogue, that snappy dialogue he's known for, but it just in a different style. Like it weirdly reminded me a bit of another movie we talked about on Sardonicast, Sexy Beast. This idea of taking like a standard thing, like a heist or a money exchange or these crime elements, but showing it from a different perspective, a different angle, and just fleshing it out in different ways that you wouldn't expect. And it is just really well thought out. The soundtrack's amazing. I think all the characters are really distinct. It doesn't fall into that problem some Tarantino movies have, where everyone's so quippy and they're all so smart and have that Tarantino-esque dialogue that they can all sort of blend together. I feel like every character is really distinct. I really like the journey of Jackie Brown herself. I think she's an awesome character. And just the progression of her character from the beginning and end, with that opening shot and the ending shot with her in the car, and just the subtleness of it, as you said, Ralph. Like
the soundtrack.
I really like the way this movie comes together, and the kind of subtle tension it builds too. Because by the time that, would you describe it as an action sequence that you kind of see it from three different perspectives? I really like that sequence. It's kind of the payoff with the.
It's kind of confusing at first.
Yeah, because I remember the first time I saw it, I was a bit like, what? But no, this time I really enjoyed it. Yeah,
it comes together really well, I thought.
What's your experience, Adam?
I don't know. I think one of the reasons why that scene is confusing on a first watch is because it's unnecessarily convoluted.
Here we go.
Right?
I saw your rating and I groaned. I was like, ugh.
There's no good reason why it should be from three perspectives. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm glad you both love it. There's things I love about the movie. There's things I absolutely love about the movie too. But like, why there's no good reason why it's from three different perspectives at that point, because it's literally just like one after the other. It's not like it goes back to it after a while or anything. It's not like it couldn't have been shot in one perspective and anything would have been lost from that. It's just unnecessarily convoluted. And the way that the entire plan is explained too is just like, it's not clear. Like, as you said, on a first watch, it's kind of confusing. And confusion aside, like, I don't know, you could always just like read the Wikipedia plot summary if you're having trouble figuring out what's going on. Confusion aside, I'm just like super not invested in what's going on or the characters. I like a lot of technical things about the movie, but that alone isn't enough to like carry me through the entire experience. And so I'm like, this is my least favorite Tarantino movie. This is the fifth time I've seen it, by the way. At least fifth. Okay. I'm 100% positive I've seen it like at least 5 times. And every single fucking time I see this movie, it starts out and I'm like, oh, this is pretty, like, I like this, you know, the dynamic between Chris Tucker and Sam Jackson, the assassination shot at the beginning. I like that. There's things I like about the movie. But then, like, I don't know, within half an hour of watching it, I forget everything that's happened except for like the 3 times where people were shot in the movie, because it just doesn't stick with me. It's just really fucking boring to me.
Okay, I have a very different experience with it because I get into it right away.
Yeah.
I think the characters are really, I like the characters a lot. They're obviously like they're criminals, they're bad people, but there's more shades of gray to them than like the usual Tarantino's characters you have. And it, like the dialogue is really good. I think that's one of the strongest parts of it. And yeah, I love the way everything's presented.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we talk about the characters. Yeah, like you said, Jackie Brown, Alex is fucking like such an awesome character too. Like it is like a Tarantino character where you're like, man, she's fucking badass. Like no matter who you are, like damn, this character's fucking cool. And it transcends like any kind of like bias or like stereotype you would have of that kind of character. And she is like beaten down from it, like kind of by the system or like society, as kind of, if you want to be more blatant about it, you know, like the police are constantly on her ass. She has a really shitty job. She can't get past like her criminal background. And they make a reference of it too. She's an African-American woman. She's a woman of color, and she's discriminated against because of that reason too. And then there was that whole other layer upon the movie that I noticed this time. I'm like, wow, there's so much going on in this movie. There's subtlety going on, like in the subtext that I love a lot, and I didn't even pick up on first few viewings.
But yeah, the speech she has where she's kind of explaining her motivations, and she's saying how she just can't have her life be reset again. That totally sold me on her actions in the movie and her motivations and what was driving her.
And this is like her getting back at them. Like she finally outsmarts them. Like Michael Keaton in that room, like at the end when like he can't figure out the fucking plan. He's like, fuck, he's just like going back and forth, pounding the wall, because you know, she finally got them. It was like a very satisfying moment when she's sitting there, and again the subtlety on her face and just a shot of her like, you know, tearing up. I'm like, damn, this is a really powerful movie, even though it's not a lot of action, it's not a lot of crazy stuff going on. That bag exchange it's just a bag exchange, and they walk out. Like Robert Forster just walks out of the mall and into his car, and it's this really exciting moment because of like the drama and because you really care about these characters, where you at least understand the drama of the situation and where they're coming from in it. You understand Robert Forster's character and that like he's kind of in love with Jackie Brown, and like how he's kind of beaten down by the system too. He's got a really shitty job. He's like, no one gives a fuck about him, and like I don't know. I found the characters to be really interesting, and that's what kept me going through it. So I didn't have that same experience you did, Adam.
I'm glad you didn't. I'm glad you enjoy it.
Yeah.
No, I do love the cast. It is a unique set of characters, just like Robert De Niro with his weird introverted kind of.
Yeah, De Niro.
He's like a bank
he's
robber.
So interesting in this because he's not like the usual. He's a bank robber, not like Heath though. He's like stoned half the movie. He's just like
he's stoned half the movie. He's just hanging out.
He's like dense
with someone else's girl. Yeah, and he's just the way his character comes to a head. I really enjoy it.
And then he turns into like this murderer, like, and even the movie acknowledges like, holy fuck, don't you think that was a little too far? Like, did you have to shoot her? You couldn't slap her?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that was such.
That's a good scene.
Yeah, it was a good scene. Yeah, it's very memorable.
Yeah.
I think it was good with those kind of more villainous characters, like Sam Jackson's character. The moment I kind of really fell for his character was when he goes and picks up the old money runner and puts him in, he convinces him to get into the trunk and then just drives him around the corner and just finishes him off, and it's all in one shot, and it really sets the stage and the stakes and, you know, what the main kind of plot is going to be at that point, and you see what he's capable of, and that
he's really scary.
Yeah, he's just willing to do anything just to keep his business going. It's just one of those classic setups.
And then when he the scene at the end when Sam Jackson shoots De Niro too, like it's like in broad daylight.
Yeah,
it adds like a layer of tension to it too for me. It's like Sam Jackson will go anywhere, do anything. You know, he'll do whatever he wants. Like in broad daylight, he'll just shoot a guy and he'll get away with it because he's, you know, he's just that good of a criminal. It makes me really fear for like Jackie Brown, and like it added stakes to the story, I thought.
Yeah, and he's always like busting everyone's balls, like just chipping at people.
Hordell's his name, right? I really like that character. And his girlfriend too. I wish, you know, she's not a major character in it, but she felt the most like the Tarantino surrogate. She just kind of watched movies all day, got high. She didn't know what the fuck she was doing, like what the part of the plan was. I like that character too.
Yeah.
Oh, what I was gonna say before, Alex, building on what you said, Tarantino, he makes like a small cameo in the movie. It's like the voice on the phone. Like you have one message and that's it. But like he doesn't like distract the movie at all with his acting, and that was much appreciated. I thought.
No cringe cameo.
Yeah, I think his performances for the most part kind of take away from the movies he's in.
You guys are going to disagree with me hard on this. I think Sam Jackson sucked in this movie. I think Sam Jackson was like actually bad in this movie.
Oh, really?
Not only like the hairpiece stuff was like a bit distracting,
you didn't like
too,
his hair?
but like his performance was like bad. It was so weird because like in any given scene it seemed like he didn't know what his character should be. It felt like very inconsistent from scene to scene. And I don't usually have this problem with him at all, even though like there's plenty of movies where it's like, oh, he's just being Sam Jackson. In this one, he didn't work very well, and there were just like quite a few lines of dialogue that were just delivered so awkwardly, and it was really, it's not something that I've pointed out and felt strongly before this time watching it, but just like going through and taking notes, I'm like, holy shit. You know, halfway through the movie, I was like, Sam Jackson actually fucking sucks in this movie.
Yeah. What's like a line you thought?
One of the lines I wrote down is, "See, I get high later on at night when I'm through with my business." But I couldn't even give you an impression of that because just like there's just so like it's such a long movie that
like,
it's just it's so forgettable.
I don't remember the context of that either.
He
like,
was complaining about Weed Girl, basically.
I actually like that moment.
Because there's like this scene with Chris Tucker, and he's just trying to get Chris Tucker in the car. Like he's basically a sociopath. Like he's just trying to get him in the car so he can murder him. And I always took his character as like he's always lying to people, and he's always playing up certain emotions because he's really just selfish. He's always looking out for himself. He just wants his fucking money.
Yeah, I mean, like that interpretation can make it a bit more forgivable if you're going with, you know, just like everything about him is fake, right? Yeah.
I mean, I could watch the movie again. I'm sure it depends on the context of the scene. Yeah. If it's a scene where he's trying to be genuine and he's like a shitty line. Yeah. I understand.
He just seems like a really not thought out character in terms of how he's delivering his lines. Is the impression I got.
Mm-hmm.
Really, I don't know. I really felt like I interpreted the opposite with him.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like he really kind of embodied the character, because I think it was his idea to kind of, with the costume and the hair and everything, to look the way he did.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like he really embodied it. I just think the dynamics he had with all the different characters was so interesting, and seeing the different ways he'd react based on like who he was talking to and how he was always kind of chipping at people, putting them down. Like that weed line you said you didn't like.
Mm-hmm.
There's another moment, I think, in that very scene where he tells Bridget Fonda to like, don't get crazy with the weeds or like rob you of your ambition and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's loads of really good lines in the movie, and I felt like he had a lot of them because he's kind of like a smart talking. He believes he's better than everyone in the room, sort of thing. He kind of over exaggerates, as you were saying. So I thought there was a fair amount of depth to his character, actually, and just he was quite unpredictable too. Like, when you don't expect him to just whip out the gun and kill De Niro at the end. He is unpredictable and scary, and plays that villainous role against Jackie Brown really well. I thought it was a good driving force to actually encourage her to go through with this crazy plan of hers. You need someone mental to add attention to the story.
You don't feel
This
bad
is the
for him.
scene where Ordell comes into Jackie Brown's apartment and Jackie Brown turns on him like with a gun. And I thought that was great. Like, Jackie Brown's not afraid of him at all. That was like a great what did you guys think of the split screen? Because that's a huge moment in the film, and that whole scene in general.
Yeah, I love that.
When it shows that Jackie took the gun out of Robert Forster's car, the passenger side like glove compartment.
I think I liked that one. There was another moment that was an unnecessary flashback thing that I didn't like, but that one I think was
Okay.
fine.
Yeah, I remember noticing that.
Yeah, because that felt like Tarantino too. Like, the style of it definitely felt like a Tarantino movie, even though it feels much more grounded than the usual stuff he does.
Yeah.
That stylistic choice, like the ending where it shows the different perspectives on the same robbery, or like the flashback. Like, I thought all those things were appropriate because that's like his flavor, adding it to the story. It would be really out of place in his filmography, I think.
The gun one was stylistic and worked fine, in my opinion. There was a weird flashback, I think, in the middle of
it's not like entirely necessary.
in the middle of the I think they were in the cafeteria or something, but there was like a weird flashback like well through the movie where it's like, I can't do it without you, Max, and it's like, that why did that need to be there? Like, that was so weird. But yeah, that's I'm not behind the three different perspectives of the same buying the suit thing.
Okay.
You know, especially because like the more times you play it, the more it just like doesn't make sense how the cops didn't figure anything out. You know, because like the cops criticized her for having enough time to go and pay for the clothes. So clearly they either have like some sort of record of her doing that, or they talk to the cashier. And if they talk to the cashier, who is apparently so attentive that she's like, yeah, the dressing room's closed, without even looking backwards, like, that's how attentive she is. If they talk to the cashier and ask like, oh, did somebody break into the dressing room and run away with something? Was there a chase? Like, she would have said no, right? So it just seems like kind of contradictory. I don't know.
Yeah, that part? Okay.
But like, I also read on, I think it was on Wikipedia, that like this film is also kind of trying to be like homage-y to like blaxploitation films that also had Pam Grier in them, which I would not be familiar with because I haven't seen those.
Yes, definitely. There's a lot of stylistic, like the fades kind of reminded me of that too. There were a lot of things in the movie.
Just the music and the tone, especially.
The look of it too, the color. There's like the scene in the bar, it's like bright red. Like, it's so bright you can't even make out any details in the face.
Yeah.
Like the very colorful palette of the movie, saturated, I mean.
It's well shot.
Yeah, it looks 70s.
True.
Even though it's set in the
Film.
90s.
Yeah.
Shot on film.
But what's weird about it is like in the catalog of Quentin Tarantino films, like you could make the argument that like Pulp Fiction also kind of looks like pretty 70s, you know?
Yeah, true, it does.
Like his filming style, especially in that generation of his films, kind of just looked like that anyway, so it's weird to like pick this one out. I guess they're all kind of like homage movies, but it's weird to pick this one out as being like, I don't know, like a specific homage, if that's what it's going for. And I don't even know how far it is going for that. Like, if I'm supposed to be like, okay, the logic to the whole conclusion doesn't matter because it's supposed to be a blaxploitation homage or something. Like, I don't know how much that's supposed to be, especially, I don't know, it's like based off of a book, right? So I don't know if that was trying to be an homage to blaxploitation films. Probably not, right?
I don't think he was trying to make a blaxploitation film. I think it's just he loves Pam Grier and like Foxy Brown and Bucktown and that stuff, and using the like text font and everything. It's like a stylistic kind of choice, and the music works so well. I love the music integration and the diegetic nature.
That's
of
the movie a lot, I feel. All that stuff.
Man, I love the music in the film, but I don't love how frequently the same songs are played over and over and over. That's something that really bothers me. There's like two different songs. One of them is played like at least 4 times, and the other one's played like three times in the movie, and it's just every time it starts playing again, either of those two songs, it's just like, oh man, like I wish it was like a new song, but it wasn't, and it just gets more annoying every time.
The Bobby Womack one.
Oh, I don't know who wrote these songs. It was the first one of them. The first time it was played. Oh no, not the one she was singing in the car at the end. Like that one was fine, and that's like a if that's what you're talking about. That's more of like a reincorporation sort of thing.
Yeah, because I love that one.
The 110th Street. Yeah.
It might have been a part of the score, or it might have just been some other song that was licensed from Quentin Tarantino that he liked. But it was first played in the courtroom scene, and it's got this like weird, goofy ass tone to it. And it was annoying the first time. I actually didn't like it the first time, but they played it like 3 or 4 times in the film, and each time I was just not enjoying it and wishing that they'd had a bit more variety. But who knows? I don't know. Maybe it's a part of the homage that it's maybe trying to be, according to somebody on Wikipedia, I guess. I don't know. Otherwise, I like the music, but it's just playing the same song fucking 4 times. I can't.
I'm wondering if in the book the structure of that kind of 3 different perspective sequence is similar, because I read he wanted to be quite accurate to the book, so I wouldn't be surprised if it was written or structured that way in the book, and that was his main motivation for that.
That would explain a lot, because I mean, if you did that in a book, there would probably be a bit more, even if it was covering the same amount of time, it would take longer to get through the book. You'd be able to explain more about what's going on inside characters' heads and details about the scene, so that when it kept going back to it, and you could even justify it by being like, okay, new chapter, new chapter, new chapter, and that would all fit really well if that's what happened in the book. But in the film, it's just like immediately after the scene, you just see the same scene again from a different perspective, and it's just like, it doesn't really, there's nothing that really justifies why certain bits of information were withheld the first time you saw it. Like it wouldn't ruin the scene or make it all that different if you knew that the other characters were there too and what they were doing at that moment. But I do very much like, at least this is one justification, I guess, I do like how we only saw Weed Girl's feet with the her putting the bag through. I liked that as like a restrained kind of like interesting choice, you know, something you might see in like, I don't know, Steve McQueen movie or somebody trying to do something like a bit different. I liked that, but then I don't know, it just felt very incredibly convoluted over the course of the scene when it really just didn't need to be by the time it got to like the third perspective of just the same thing, basically.
See, I didn't feel the disconnect there. I thought it flowed pretty well, because the movie's split into these kind of groups of characters already. So seeing it broken up into like Pam Grier's segment and Robert Forster's segment, the Robert De Niro segment, I thought that made sense to me, because those are kind of the 3 different perspectives of the movie. So seeing it from their side kind of made sense in my mind. It didn't even bother me.
You follow it from like Ordell, Robert Forster, and like Jackie Brown. I think those are like the 3. Because like the first part of the movie, you don't see Jackie Brown at all, really. You see her for the opening credits, and then it's focused on Ordell for like 15 minutes or 10 minutes or however long. I like that choice, and it made it feel much more like it's a character piece. It's not just about this one person. And that kind of goes along with the rest of his movies, too.
I'm not inherently against the choice in of itself. I actually, now that I think about it, I probably would have enjoyed the movie a lot more if the film was just structured and reorganized. Like, if it were even more non-chronological, I probably would have enjoyed it more. Because then it would have felt as though the 3 perspectives thing was a bit more justified. If, let's say, we saw her perspective like a third through the movie, and then the second perspective 2/3 through the movie, and then closer to the end, the third perspective, right? Like, that would have made a lot more sense structure-wise to me. My problem isn't necessarily just like, oh, there's 3 perspectives in the film, and that's not a good thing. It's just that it's right after each other, and it feels like it's stagnant, like the movie isn't really progressing anymore, because we're seeing the same thing over and over again, and each new time we see something, the important parts of the perspectives aren't during that moment when the transaction is happening. Like, those aren't the parts that are interesting. The interesting parts are like, okay, when he goes outside and fucking shoots her, like that's fun, right? But that has nothing to do with the 3 perspective change. Like, if you had one perspective, you still could have shown that happening immediately after just by, changing which character is being focused on. There's
the scene where they established that Jackie Brown like took the car out of Robert Forster's car. They're switching the two different ways you see, like the two different characters are seeing that scene, Robert Forster and her. So that adds something.
The way she took what?
When she takes the gun out of Robert Forster's car and points it at Sam Jackson.
Oh, that. No, yeah, I'm not talking about that.
And he discovers it. You see the two different points of view. But they establish right there that there's two different points of view of the story, and I think that adds a lot to the movie, that one instance of it.
No, I was talking specifically about the money scene, the buying the suit.
But I just
thing,
think that's another point in the movie very early on where they establish that same thing and the point of view, and I think it works really well.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with that one. And again, it's not inherently that there are different perspectives. It's just that it's 3 in a row right away, and not a whole lot gets added to those 3 perspectives. It's just the same scene happening 3 times and taking its time when it's already 2.5 hours long, and really, really overcomplicating a simple story that doesn't need to be overcomplicated.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't quite feel the complication. I more felt the 3 sections being back to back actually added with the tension of it, and how is this heist going to go down? What are the details of it? I know you said you weren't really interested in the exchange part of it, but I find that interesting in and of itself. I find their plan and enacting the plan and the tension of trying to go through with what they were planning to do to be a hook in and of itself. So that kind of thing just did not bother me.
Yeah, and the plan goes south pretty quick. It becomes a shit show pretty quick.
Yeah, it makes the build up
dumb.
to when, like when De Niro snaps. It's like a shocking moment, and you've got surprises in there. I haven't really mentioned Michael Keaton yet.
Yeah,
He's kind of funny.
How do we feel of him in the movie?
he's a dickhead.
Yeah, he's his character's fine.
Him and his buddy. Well, they're like tertiary characters, but I thought even just for that, they're pretty interesting. They were like really funny, and I thought a lot of the movie was pretty funny.
I wasn't upset with him in the movie.
I don't think we've mentioned that. It was really hilarious at times.
The purple bag scene was really funny.
Yeah.
Purple in quotes.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's such a small part of the movie. It's like just a tiny little line. I liked that, but man, that's just like not what I think of when I think of the movie.
There's a lot of good lines, though.
Just like it could be in any movie, I don't know. Remember that, like, this is just something that my core criticisms at its heart, it's just something that I don't connect with. And everything from that point is literally just a byproduct of me not caring about the characters or what they're doing. I just don't connect to what's happening story-wise. And because of that, I'm forced to, especially now that I'm talking about it on a podcast, I'm forced to go through the movie and actually write notes about how I feel about specific things, which is why on my previous 4 watches, I didn't really, care about Sam Jackson. I didn't really think about it. I was just bored and, like checked out. But now it's like I'm forced to go through and be like, okay, what do I not care about in this movie? And so everything's kind of just like highlighted to that degree. Keep that in mind. It's not like I actively hate this movie. It's just that, I'm forced to justify why it means nothing to me and why I forget about it 20 minutes after I watch it every single time after I've already watched it like 5 times and I couldn't remember anything. And I'm watching through the movie. I'm like, oh yeah, Chris Tucker's in it again. Like all these things about it. I'm like, oh yeah, there's this scene. Like it's coming back to me like a fucking dream that I had or something, Like, fucking 5 times watching the movie and just like doesn't stick.
It's so weird the way Tarantino does this because
yeah,
a lot of the things you describe are just how I feel about like Death Proof.
Exactly.
Like,
everybody's got a different one.
Yeah, which does make him very interesting. How do you feel about this idea that he's described this movie as a hangout movie? Where
what does that mean?
I'll read the quote.
Isn't every movie hangout movie?
He says it's a hangout movie. He explained Jackie Brown is better the second time, and I think it's even better the third and the fourth time. Maybe even the first time we see it, we go, "Why are we doing all this hanging out? Why can't we get more of the plot?" But now the second time you see it and the third time you see it, you're not thinking about the plot anymore. You're waiting for the hangout scenes. to me, that's the thing Rio Bravo did. Oh yeah, because he was comparing it, saying it was his Rio Bravo. I remember the first time I saw Rio Bravo, but I remember more the 15th time I saw Rio Bravo. Obviously, Adam would vehemently disagree with this statement.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've seen it 5 times now.
Fourth time. So he said that about his own movie. Watch
Yeah,
it 3
that's
or 4
kind of funny.
times. That's
to
hilarious.
Say that about your own
he's
movie.
a good director and writer. Like, of course, he's made really great films, but he comes off as a bit of a pretentious ass, especially when he says things like that. And we've talked before the fucking video of him slapping the phone out of a guy's hand.
What are you doing? Yo, what are you doing?
He's very intense, isn't he?
What are you doing right now?
I suppose in a way, most films are like just hanging out with the characters, if you want to like put it as loosely as possible.
I mean, like most of his movies are like that. Like I don't.
Yeah.
Both of those elements work for me in Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction is a lot of fucking hanging out, but I also care about like the tension of each scene. I care about, the fucking overdose. I care about the conflict with Marcellus Wallace and the wife, or Uma Thurman girlfriend thing. Like, there's so much. I feel like the more times I watch that movie, I'm not just like ignoring the plot and I'm waiting for the hangout scenes. I think that there's more context for both of those elements, and they work better every time I watch the film. I'm like understanding more the dynamics and what's at stake in any given scene, how things eventually play out, makes all of it better. Whereas in Jackie Brown, it sounds like he just said, like, yeah, the plot doesn't really matter, just the hangout scenes.
The hangout scenes are always good in his movies. Jules and Vincent in the car in Pulp Fiction. And in this, too, when they're in Ordell's apartment, or is it her apartment, or whoever's apartment it is. Like, those scenes are great. There's a lot of other stuff going on in this movie. I don't know why the hangout scenes are such a high point for him, or it's just like a specific thing. And then it's like, you got to watch the movie 3 or 4 times.
I mean,
like upon the 3rd or 4th viewing.
Convoluted.
There doesn't even need to be a 3rd or 4th viewing. It's not that convoluted. I understood it the first time watching. I was like, oh, I was maybe mildly like, what? For that point at the end for the switching perspectives.
Yeah.
I won't even take off points for that because I would literally didn't even think anything of it. I figured it out pretty quick.
It's an hour and 25 minutes into the film by the time she even suggests to run away with like the $500,000 to the bondsman, right?
Yeah,
like,
I guess so.
There's just so much of this movie where like you're wondering what's the conflict right now, where is it going, sort of thing. Or at least that was my experience with a lot of the times that I watched it. It's
All
just
right.
the main plot just isn't that engaging to me, and perhaps that weighs down the hangout scenes for me. Because like there's individual moments. I love the weed girl, and I love the Robert De Niro thing. I love them talking about the guns, watching the fucking TV ad, and Sam Jackson's going all off on like AK-47 and blah blah blah.
The chicks with guns thing was pretty funny. I don't know who made that or if that's original.
There's a lot of great
Eli
stuff
Roth make that for him
in the film aesthetically that I love, not just the filmmaking, but like character dynamics, ideas for what characters should be, how they should be, sort of thing. I love that. It's just, it's in a boring movie. I wish it was in something where I cared more about what was happening. And perhaps this is also because I don't give a shit about Jackie Brown. Main character, I don't care about. I really do not.
Okay.
I find the most interesting characters in this movie to be the other characters, and I don't find Jackie Brown to be interesting whatsoever.
I guess that's where we differ then, because I think her character is like the point and carries the whole thing. So I suppose if she doesn't work, then obviously the movie's not going to come together for you. But I really like the first hour of the movie. I think it establishes the kind of stakes really well, as I said, with like Sam Jackson killing the previous runner and everything, and then him basically trying to kill Jackie Brown and her pulling a fast one on him. So he's like forced to work with her. That's like an interesting place in a story for a character to be. There's a lot of tension and drama there, and then adding in the De Niro stuff. I felt like that was okay.
If I cared about her, it would work so well, right?
Yeah, if you're not connecting to the characters, then the movie's not going to work. Because like it's so character driven. It's just so focused on those hangout scenes and people talking to each other. It's not as plot driven as maybe, I don't know. I wouldn't say any of his movies are as plot driven. There's usually very long dialogue scenes, and I don't know. This one doesn't really stand out to me particularly, where I thought it was dragging.
I think it just stands out more because of the subtlety compared to the other movies. Like it doesn't rely on some kind of shocking violence or anything.
It's based on source material. It's based on something else.
Yeah, that book background does give it a different feel.
It has a different flavor. It doesn't end like a shootout, or well, there's shooting, but it's a lot different. Everyone gets shot twice too, which is an interesting thing. I'm not sure if that was supposed to mean something. Everyone gets shot twice in the movie.
That.
Interesting.
I don't know why.
What's funny is like I would feel this way probably the way you feel about it, with it being like different and kind of like more mature. I would feel that way about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood if, spoilers, the ending was different. Not a huge spoiler, just by keeping it vague. I would feel that exact same way if he just stayed consistent the entire movie. I'd be like, wow, this is like a mature departure that, like, you know, it doesn't need his, you know, gimmicky Tarantino shtick sort of thing, you know?
Yeah, I really agree with that.
Yeah, and then it ends with horrific violence.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to that at all. It was really weird how Once Upon a Time in Hollywood ended. It was just like, yep, thought you were watching a different kind of Tarantino movie, huh? Well, not today, pal.
Just couldn't help himself on that one.
Yeah, and Jackie Brown just kind of is actually that. It's good the whole movie, and there's no dumb shoot at the... I love the ending of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood too. I think it works for that movie. It was very unexpected. That's much more of a crowd pleaser too. This movie actually didn't do great. I believe it did fine. Critically, people liked it. It just didn't do amazing. And I think Tarantino hammered more in on the zany elements of his movies, or the violent elements. That it's funny you said this movie's more mature, because it's, you know, not as violent or as like bloody as his other movies, but his other movies are more Looney Tunes-esque and not as mature, even though they're more violent, because they're so ridiculous. They're so fucking, you know, the amount of blood in Django is ridiculous. Like the end when he's shooting those guys in the house, it's like hilarious how much blood there is. And there's nothing like that in this movie. I just took it really seriously. I'm like, wow, this is good drama. It's really good characters. They don't do anything crazy.
6 years after Jackie Brown, he released Kill Bill, and they are kind of the antithesis of each other. And I really like them both for that exact reason. They're both doing something different in his like filmography.
Yeah,
and it really stands out now, especially now we've had like Django, The Hateful Eight, Once Upon a Time. Jackie Brown really does stand out as something a little bit different, which I really think adds some layers to it.
Yeah, even Hateful Eight.
He directed Jackie Brown in between my two favorite Quentin Tarantino movies. It's like right next to them.
I personally, I wouldn't put it at the very top. I do still think like Pulp Fiction's better, and I really like The Hateful Eight. But this is the thing, though, as we said, like everyone just has their favorite versions of Tarantino and what they're looking for from his style, because he does have a consistent style, but it's just the interpretation and like what era of Hollywood is he going to be homaging in this movie. Like, what is it, an action thing, is it like a more exploitative thing? Like there's a lot of choice, and I don't know, I just like the serious nature of Jackie Brown, how it doesn't jump the gun at any point in that way. It is consistent. I really like the characters. I love that dialogue. I don't know, it's a really interesting film from him.
Yeah. I was going to say Hateful Eight's like that. It felt more mature, or like a little more grounded for the first maybe 2/3 of it, and then it gets a little nuts toward the end.
But I forgive it there more with it being like a Western and everything, and the crazy characters.
You're kind of waiting for it, because it was actually really slow. It was actually like, let's just establish all these characters, one setting. And I'm like, okay, I like this a lot.
It's compelling all the way through for me.
It is compelling. I'm not saying it's not compelling, but it's one location. It's like trapped in a shack.
I love
with
it,
these fucking 8 people. Yeah. And, I
think Hateful Eight is great.
To have that catharsis at the end of like, they all shoot each other it's funny. I like that a lot.
Like a Western shootout.
Yeah, I didn't want Jackie Brown to like start shooting everyone, and like I didn't want that. I liked the way Jackie Brown handled the situation, and she got away scot-free. And you know, even Robert Forster, like their kiss at the end, and when she goes away, like that was a very touching moment. I thought I really like those characters.
We admit he's a bit scared of her.
Yeah, he's kind of scared of her. He feels kind of used by her. Like there's so much going on in his face at that moment, and then he walks away and it's out of focus. It was very memorable stylistic choices, I thought, throughout the entire thing.
Love the stylistic choices.
Yeah, the color of like I appreciate his devotion to film and like the film look. The colors in the movie look really nice. Like her suit is all blue. Like, it really pops. She wears it at the end, like in the mall robbery, even though she doesn't necessarily have to, but it, like, I guess it's a good disguise. Like, she's a little inconspicuous, and it looks really great. And then she comes out with the suit and it looks great. Like, there's so much about the visual style of the movie, how it's presented, that I thought was really well thought out. When she's like running out of the mall, or she's running out when the heist kind of goes wrong, and the camera's following her out of the mall, or out of the store, I mean. That was really well done too. Like, there's so many stuff. There's so much stuff like that. The music was well in that part. Yeah, it was not. I didn't think it was dull at all, or like boring. Like, it never lost me at all. It flew by as well in terms of the length.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't feel the length either, even though I think some of his later films, like Django especially, I felt like were just a bit too long, a bit too much, just like 15 minutes too much. I'm with you. I didn't feel that length. I thought it just felt, it paced itself really well. It didn't like linger on anything that wasn't, giving me some kind of payoff or humor or clever line or good acting or yeah.
I appreciate it in his filmography, but as a film on its own too, I think it really works. I think if you just watched it once and never bothered with it again, I feel like it's a very good film.
Yeah.
It's like a very great casual viewing as well. I feel like it works in basically anyone can enjoy it, even though it is kind of mature and violent. Mm-hmm. I would highly recommend it as like one of his best movies. Yeah, I would put it up there with Pulp Fiction and God, I'd say Inglourious Bastards probably. Mm-hmm. Those are probably my favorite.
Yeah, I like Bastards.
I really like the slow zoom on the back of Sam Jackson's head as he's like thinking about like whether or not to shoot Robert De Niro. I like that.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
There are lots of like technical moments that I love. Lots of that. Mm-hmm. It's just not held together with anything that I can stick to, It needs the stickiness, as M. Night would say. So you guys didn't think the ending was like anticlimactic or anything, right?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
No, she achieves her goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like the final car shot, I liked. Just the whole shootout part is just so weird and awkward.
Yeah, like the resolution of the story.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like right, she's got a gun.
Yeah, and he's like, Sam Jackson is well aware that there could be a setup, and specifically tells Robert Forster, like, I'm gonna fucking kill you if you do this shit. And he's like, loaded, ready to go, and there's literally like a whole fucking like 5 seconds where he could shoot her. Like, I don't even know if she was wearing like a bulletproof vest, probably, but still, it's just like, damn, he didn't do anything about that. He kind of just like stood there and let it happen, but it was kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
And then the whole just, I don't know, the cops being so incompetent that they didn't ask the cashier if somebody ran past her. It's weird, but
yeah, that is weird. But
that is a weird bit. I'll give it that. But none of those things are enough for my experience anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
I think the film offers a lot of value, and the positives far outweigh the negatives.
Yeah, I could complain about stupid things about Kill Bill. There's a bunch of shit like that.
Uh-huh.
Like, you can't just. Yeah, that's not how comas work. Fucking feet and you wiggle your big toe. Like, there's so much about it that's goofy.
Oh, that's going for a cartoon logic.
Yeah, it's a goofier movie. Also, it's not only a goofier movie, but it's like something I love. By the way, I would love to talk about Kill Bill on the podcast someday, but I'm kind of hoping we all wait for like a 4K release because I think that would be a good excuse.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
To go back to it.
Yeah, I want to get like a 4K restoration of all his movies. I'm waiting on that. Like Chris Nolan has one because he shoots all of them on film as well.
Yeah, they'll probably do like a box set in the next year or something.
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
Yeah,
they should totally do that.
Yeah, I'd like to see the whole bloody affair because I've only ever watched them separately.
Uh-huh.
Who knows if that will ever get an actual release outside of Japan?
That's the Kill Bill
one theater
right?
thing.
There's the extended Hateful Eight. There's that one.
Yeah.
I love the love story between Robert Forster and Pam Grier in this. The first shot when she's like walking out of jail, and it's kind of like the love at first sight moment where he looks at her.
Yeah,
and she's like, her hair's all raggedy.
You can just tell by his face.
But the way it's presented, it's like it's the moment he falls in love with her, I guess. I thought that was so unique. There are a lot of moments in this genre that Tarantino just presents in a more like a played down way that made it much more actually interesting to watch because it was more subtle. Because it was just like Robert Forster watching her walk out of jail, or just a simple bag exchange. Like that's what made it suspenseful for me anyway. And then I love the giant shootouts with tons of blood too, but that's for other movies.
Yeah, it would have been weird here.
Yeah, I'd like to watch those blaxploitation movies too, but I don't know. Those are hard to get into, like the Pam Grier ones. I'll watch some of them one day.
I feel like I don't know. I feel like I'd be, depending on the runtime, I might be more entertained by those.
Yeah, I bet they're shorter, but
I also like, I don't know. I love kind of like relics from the past in that way. I think that there's this their own sense of character to it, and I love even like kind of poorly made things like from that era. I would love.
Yeah, I'm
to
interested in Foxy Brown.
Yeah, I'm gonna add that.
Yeah,
to my
Death
watch
Proof
list
is
right
like
now.
Death Proof's like that. It's like much more of an homage to those kinds of movies.
Yeah.
Much more goofy.
It's probably why I like it more. It's just like a lot of this is also, I don't know, when it comes down to like a gut visceral reaction of like whether or not you enjoy something, a lot of it is like tone and aesthetic, right? And I love the tone and the aesthetic of Death Proof a lot. I love what it's going for in that regard. So that really helps my experience there. Jackie Brown doesn't seem like too far removed from like either Pulp Fiction or like even Reservoir Dogs to some extent, but it just doesn't, it's not as like strong of a personality in that sense. I don't know. Like the soundtrack's there.
I feel like it has a lot of personality. There's like even though it's based on a book, it feels much more original to me too. There's a sense of originality. Death Proof, there's like a bunch of stuff from movies he's referencing, and it feels much more like kind of how Run, Hide, Fight. It's just like this cathartic, like, and then there's our car chase, and then there's this, and I just see Tarantino just writing down a bunch of like crap, like, and then there's a bunch of hot chicks, and then they get in a car chase. Like, it's just like, to me that's boring, and I this didn't feel like that. This feel like he actually like took his time and developed it, and it was based on something that someone else wrote that he actually developed as well. Like they thought out really well. It wasn't just like dumb movie cliches and references, and there's homages in there too, but it's more like sprinkled in. It's much better, I think. But yeah, preference and all that.
I wouldn't even disagree with your assessment that he probably put more time into writing Jackie Brown. I wouldn't disagree with that at all. I just like Death Proof more.
And I love Kill Bill. That's more goofy too. It's just, it depends how you play it.
Yeah. I am fucking itching for a 4K release of that because I want to watch it again, but I don't I want to, it's been long enough that I feel like I could experience parts of it kind of almost for the first time again.
Yeah, they keep doing that after we do like an episode. Like they just released Lord of the Rings on 4K, and we just did the episode on that. So.
Oh yeah. Well, it's because they watch our podcast.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, we got to ride the wave, hold the line.
I got Terminator 2 4K. That was really good.
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
It's a fucking great movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one in forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same.
Get the 4K.
Same.
I'll check it out again. But yeah, ratings, I guess, if you want to.
Yeah. I'll start because I gave it a 5 out of 5. I think it's great. It's probably one of my favorite crime movies. It's one of my favorite Tarantino movies, like top 3. Depends on the day. And yeah, I love that. It's just like a good drama, just subtle. I keep saying like the same shit about it, but I just really I love the movie. I think it's really well done. I appreciate it a lot. I don't want to be obnoxious about it. I just think it's great. I just think it's really great.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
I want to be obnoxious about it, and I'm giving it a 5 out of 10. It's underrated compared to his other works, and it's for a reason. Wake up, sheeple.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm more on Ralph's side. I give this a 4-star. I have other movies in his list that I prefer, but I do think there is something to be said for Jackie Brown in the story here, and just how different it is for his filmography. I like the characters, like Ralph. I'm just going over the bullet points I've already done. I mean, I just really like this movie. And hopefully can go back to hang out with the characters again and again.
Hanging out with my family. Great song.
Hanging out with Quentin.
Yeah, I just really enjoyed it. I was rewatching it for this, and it didn't feel like work at all. Like, it was just so enjoyable.
I'm very happy
Not
for
that
the both
it
of
ever
you.
feels like work. It's just like so many times I've seen it. It's such a good movie. I was so invested in it.
Yeah, in my memory, I held it way more negatively, so I was really pleasantly surprised by revisiting it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do some questions then from the Sardonicast community. If you want to leave your own questions, head over to the Sardonicast subreddit, where there'll be a suggestion thread where you can ask us whatever you like. InkDrop53 is going to start us off. Have there been films that have made you go and read their book counterparts? No one read Rum Punch in prep for this one?
The Southland Tales comics.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. I skimmed through
Yeah,
those.
I suppose that's one of my answers.
So novels were like tied to a book?
Book, I guess like films that are based on a book that afterwards, like,
Yeah.
for example, after I chose Naked Lunch as a suggestion, I went and I listened to the audiobook. I guess it's not quite the same, but
Cool.
yeah, that's one. I really love the way it was written.
I did a lot of air traveling, like a few years ago. So I read 2001: A Space Odyssey
Oh,
during
nice.
that. I picked up
Oh, cool.
at a bookstore, and that was written at the same time as the movie. So it's like
Oh, yeah.
it's kind
That's
of
right, yeah.
it's similar to the movie, but it's not like the movie's based on it. So that's why people have very different interpretations of the movie, because it's actually very different from the book, like how the book presents it. The end is trippy, like in the book. It's presented like fucking like ethereal, like crazy shit is happening. Like Jupiter is like exploding, and like the sun's like aligning with Mercury. Like like the way they describe it is like wow. So the movie's interpretation's like a visual version of that, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But it was basically the same thing, like for the most part. Like the story of it was pretty good. I thought it was a good read. I'd say the movie's better because it has that visual component, like all the set designs and everything. The set design's what makes it like unique. The hallways and the red chairs and like all that shit. The book's fine though. I haven't read the rest of them. There's like a ton of sequels, but book sequels to 2001 that I haven't read at all.
Yeah, usually it's the other way around for me. I don't know. I think there's only one where I've read the source material after the fact, and that would be Kimba the White Lion, where I went and read the manga for purely spiteful reasons, I guess. But yeah, I don't. I've gotten suggestions though. I've heard that a lot of the graphic novels like Watchmen and Walking Dead are a lot better than their film TV adaptations.
Oh yeah, Watchmen's much better.
Yeah,
And Walking Dead. Yeah, I've read both of those.
Oh, awesome. So who knows? Maybe in the future at some point. I have no idea. But I don't dedicate a lot of time in my day to reading fiction. Most of what I read is like news stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm also reading. I'm like halfway through Watchmen. It's pretty good. Probably almost done with it actually. I'm just looking at my shelf. I read Game of Thrones. I'm like reading that.
Oh.
They're so big. Those fucking books are fucking ginormous.
Yeah, I started reading it, but it was like at the end of the show, so I was like so down on like just the whole universe and everything. I was like,
yeah.
Is the ending to these books even going to come out?
Now I'm reading them because I actually want to know. I actually want to know like what the ending is. That's why I'm reading them. I want to know what actually happens because the show was bullshit. Like everything it came up with is fucking nonsense.
If all the books do come out, maybe I'll make it my mission to go through it. But just, there's something so bothersome to me about that. Just the idea of like investing yourself in this universe and then potentially not even getting an end.
and then you just sit and wait and hang out.
Yeah, yeah.
Just hang out. Yeah.
Yeah, fuck
It's a hangout book. You just hang out.
Just hang out with the characters,
M. Night needs Sanaskar. Wait,
An Oscar.
Whatever. Yeah, oh my god. Needs an Oscar, yeah. Reddit names too. What's the movie that made you recognize film as an art form rather than just a way to pass the time?
I mean, way back, probably fucking Memento. That was like my first. I think I must have watched that one before Donnie Darko. But those were like two big movies for me when I was like, I don't know, 12, 13 or something. Where I was like,
Yeah.
Movies can be art?
Yeah. I actually think Finding Nemo. I think that's the one where I looked into the behind the scenes of it, and because I think the menu on the DVD had bonus features where you could look at the character models and whatever,
Oh,
how
yeah.
they sculpted them. And I was like, oh shit, so this is how this works. It's like CGI. It's like a movie. And I started to piece together the process of it because I really didn't understand what a movie was at that point. It's like when you're young, you don't understand. You think it's like a bunch of people in a TV, like acting at a play. I was probably really young when I thought that. I was probably 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me, I was always drawn to this idea of like being scared by movies and taking yourself out of that comfort zone. But when I was like a really young kid, I saw Alien for the first time, and it like freaked me out so much. The concept of it, this parasitic creature, like fucked me up so much.
Jesus.
The only way to get over the fear was to figure out how they made the movie. As you were saying with the behind the scenes stuff of Finding Nemo, that was really got me into it, was seeing like all the behind the scenes of Alien and the featurettes and stuff.
Yeah, I was terrified of Finding Nemo.
I was terrified of the PS2 game.
The Bruce Shark.
Yeah.
I think I was 6 years old when Finding Nemo came out. So yeah, I probably did think it was a bunch of people and televisions at that point, just fucking acting out. Like, I just didn't even understand what it was. It was so dumb.
There's another like distant memory of mine. It might have been Babe. It might have been Babe Pig in the City. It might have been a movie that's not either of the Babe films. But there was like, when I was very, very young, watching some movie with my family, there was like a time-lapse fade shot of like, I don't remember if it was Babe or like a goat, but there was like an animal in like a pen, like enclosed in like a fence, and they were basically either walking around the edge of the fence, like just like killing time. The implication of the scene was like, oh, passage of time, they're doing nothing, they're bored, they're alone, whatever. And I think my brother asked like, how do they do that? And I don't remember how my mom or whoever explained it to me, but I think that was like also a moment where I, at a very early age, was kind of questioning the mechanics of what is being seen in a scene rather than just watching it without actually thinking about what's going behind it. Because at whatever age I was, very, very young, that was a really interesting question. You know, like how do you do a fade, you know, when you're filming something? Like it's something that sort of sparked that thought process.
Or even just how a camera works, how the equipment
exactly.
even,
just things that you don't question until you have something that kind of sparks that, I guess.
Yeah, even just watching an animated movie, you don't even, like a kid doesn't understand CGI or even like drawings in motion.
Real.
Like, they don't even understand any of that. Yeah. Or they just don't even separate it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But that's
how is that
like
talking?
once you discover that and once you kind of look into it, I think Finding Nemo was probably the first time, like at least the first time I remember anyway. Yeah, it's you're like, oh, this is actually pretty cool, and you could do this yourself.
Yeah,
probably not as good. You need hundreds of millions of dollars, but maybe at some point.
Fucking Tangerines. Film it on an iPhone. Sean Baker.
Yeah, you can do that. Get like a software on your computer. Get the source filmmaker.
Yeah. There's that like dude that blew up on YouTube very recently. What the fuck is it? He's getting like every single one of his posts is like big on Reddit right now. But he makes these like very cheaply influenced rotoscoping animations where he released a tutorial on his channel not too long ago. I'm going to find the channel name here so I can give them a shout out on the podcast. Let's see. I can find it on my Twitter without scrolling back too far, I believe. Let's see. Joel Haver or Haver. I don't know. He'll probably hit 1 million subscribers next month is how his channel's growing. He's at like 600,000 right now. Or I guess this month. It's February already. Ooh.
Good.
But yeah, check out, there's a video he made called How I Animated This Video. And he just gives like a tutorial on all of the hilarious and relatable, funny animations he's been making that have gotten super popular. And yeah, basically you can cheaply rotoscope things at home using AI now, even though it's not perfect, but the technology will get even better, which is really cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that.
That's really impressive.
It'll be pretty sick. You can make Blade Runner at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could make Southland Tales at home.
Yeah, you can make a 10-hour cut.
Yeah, and it'll probably look better than the official release, yeah.
You can make the cut as long as you want. 20-hour cut of Southland Tales.
Cartoon Wizard XL has one for us. Have you guys ever been to Long John Silver's?
No.
I think that's an American restaurant, right?
Yeah, I didn't really know what it was. I hoped you guys would really know what it was, because
Long John Silver's. I've heard of it, but I haven't.
I searched a picture of it. It looked pretty messed up.
Seafood?
Yeah, it's like fast food. It's like the equivalent of like a chip shop in the UK, but as a big chain restaurant. I don't know how I feel about it.
Never been to one. Sorry.
Sorry.
They're around me, but I've heard of it.
Next question.
Okay. Alfred Fallenborden says, especially for Adam, given that you have a lot of thoughts about time travel stories, what do you think of the Netflix series Dark?
Shit, I've only seen like 2 episodes.
Oh, really? So you've seen a couple?
Yeah, and it was
not hook you?
A while ago, and I was kind of preoccupied at the same time. I would want to probably start from the beginning if I checked it out again. It was well shot. I don't think I got far enough into it to be able to like really interpret what was even happening supernaturally, like time travel or otherwise, So
that's one that's been on my list for a while. I feel like just everyone recommends it consistently.
Decent from what I watched so far. It didn't blow my mind, but I'd be willing to continue through with it at some point. Just not in a huge rush to, I guess. It's like 3 or 4 seasons now, right?
Yeah, it's getting up there.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, so no thoughts on it.
Oops.
It's regarded highly. People tell me it's really good.
Yeah. Sorry, everybody.
Yeah.
No Long John Silver's, no Dark. Next question.
Yeah.
GGG375 this one. If you're forced to add a category to the Academy Awards to reward an aspect of filmmaking you thought was underappreciated, what would your new category be? Best hangout movie?
Stunts.
Yeah, stunts an obvious one.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking I don't know, without just shoving in awards for awards' sake, maybe like a first-time director award or something?
Yeah.
Best, because then it breaks it up a little bit. It's not always the same group of people always winning. Yeah, something like that.
I think they should have a best popular movie.
Yeah. Black Panther.
Fuck them. I'm not even going to come up with them.
Yeah, because I guess now that you mention it, like every single music awards show has something like that. Like Best New Artist.
That's true.
Right? They have that at the Grammys and Junos and blah, blah, blah.
So like Best New Actor, Best New Actress, then Best New Director.
New Actor is a
weird
one. I like the director one.
Yeah, director makes more sense.
A new coming actor? I think that would be good.
I guess if people cared enough about directors, then they would have that category.
Yeah, true.
That's why they have it in music and music awards shows, is because you're nominating the artists themselves, not the people responsible for, not like the director of a film. People care more about the actors in a movie than the director, unfortunately.
Well, because they're the ones you see on the screen.
Yeah, they're on the screen in the posters.
They're on the screen.
Unless it's Lars von Trier, then he puts himself on the poster, and
you're Tarantino.
Yeah, in the movie too sometimes. Yeah, Tarantino. Oh man.
Not Jackie Brown, except on a answering machine.
Oh yeah.
That's why it's a great movie.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of work that goes underappreciated in Hollywood for sure.
Oh, no doubt.
Stunts is a huge one because it's like they're literally risking their lives. Like maybe some recognition, please.
Definitely. I feel like
so
visual
weird.
effects are much more complicated than just one category.
I know, right?
I feel like there's so many components that go into visual effects that just like giving a studio just like one award. I don't think that covers it.
Yeah, but then you fall into the issue that they had with the sound categories, where even though they're 2 different categories, the Academy doesn't understand the difference, so they just vote for the same one every time. So there might as well be one category if the people voting don't even know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, I'm like, with music and sound, something that's always bothered me is the difference between like original score and soundtrack, and how I guess there's no soundtrack category.
No, because that would be weird, because, then you just throw in a bunch of like previously existing songs into your movie to get an Oscar.
But I feel like Jackie Brown, for example, that's a great soundtrack.
Mm-hmm. Best use of soundtrack.
Yeah, or like best use of like an original song or something. Well, not an original song, but a pre-existing song or something.
There's like an original song category, but I feel like that's almost a waste.
Yeah, original song category makes sense. But like just having a good track listing, It would be weird to have an Oscar for that.
Yeah.
I would like it if they don't have like an adapted song category. And that's the reason why Clint Mansell wasn't nominated for Black Swan. They have an adapted screenplay category, but they don't have like an adapted score category. So that would be a cool one to have. And that would, I guess, almost be close to what you were mentioning, but not quite. Because it is weird that if you like make an entirely new rendition off of something that's loosely based off something else, it's just like, no, sorry, it's not a real score anymore. It's like, it's still a fucking great score. Come on.
Yeah, but then like films have remakes and they get nominated for an Oscar, but that was just from something else. It's like
True.
They should have best adapted film and then best original film, and that would help. That would encourage filmmakers to make original films.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're taking back Scorsese's Oscar for The Departed. Can't do it anymore. It's
yeah, because
illegitimate.
it's based on Infernal Affairs. Yeah.
Sorry. It's not a real movie.
Yeah, not a real movie.
Let's end on this one then from Ben Dad Killer. What are your thoughts on the Hannibal movies, i.e. The Silence of the Lambs, Manhunter, Red Dragon, and the TV show, if you've seen it, especially considering that it's one of Mads Mikkelsen's more popular roles?
What are your thoughts on Gotti?
Hmm.
I saw Silence of the Lambs, and that's it. I like Mads Mikkelsen, though. Silence of the Lambs is great. It's probably one of the best movies ever. It's like critically acclaimed. Very strong lead. Anthony Hopkins he's incredible in that movie. And then they gave him a bunch of sequels because he was so good. And the rest of that shit I haven't seen. But Silence of the Lambs is awesome. You should totally watch that if you haven't. It's thrilling.
Yeah, I've seen all of these, and Silence of the Lambs is definitely the best one. I think, didn't Ridley Scott do Red Dragon or something weird like that? Or did he do Manhunt? I can't remember because the sequels are very forgettable, and they're just trying to capture the Silence of the Lambs again. But I do think that Mads Mikkelsen show is worth checking out, especially now. I think it's on Netflix, and they're talking about continuing it. It's been a long time since I've seen it, because it aired a long time ago now, but it was very striking. It had a lot of like really fun gore stuff in it, loads of great like practical effects. Great performance, obviously, from Hannibal himself in that show. So I'd recommend that show for sure.
Yeah, I've heard really good things about it, for sure. I've seen Silence of the Lambs, and that's about it. I do like that movie. I feel like I would like it more now, because it's been a while since I've seen it. That's my impression anyway. Who knows? They could always like reboot one of these with like Armie Hammer or something, right?
Armie Hammer. You got accused of cannibalism.
I'm going to eat your heart.
Yeah, you could do. Well, what's really funny is there's like a Luca Guada. How do you pronounce it? Do you know, Ralph? Do you know how to pronounce Luca's name?
Luca Guadagnino?
Is Luca how you pronounce his first name?
Luca Guadagnino. I believe that's how you say it. Yeah.
Can you say it slower?
Guadagnino.
Okay.
Luca Guadagnino.
I don't often trust Ralph for pronunciations, but this time.
He's Italian. I think I have. I mean, I could be wrong, but it's probably closer.
But yeah, I heard that he was actually doing like some sort of like cannibal movie with Timothée Chalamet. It's like, you got the wrong one.
It's a bunch of fucking names.
You hired the wrong actor.
You did get the wrong one.
It was the other one. But yeah, apparently that's in development.
Yeah, I rewatched The Social Network the other day, and seeing the two armies is funny.
Oh no. Army of one. All right.
Army of cannibals.
Bjork.
Yeah, imagine like two of him coming at you.
I guess that does it for question time. We have a recommendation from Alex.
Yes. So this is my choice, and I'm taking a risk with this one.
Please.
I want to watch Bāhubali: The Beginning, which is India's most expensive film ever made. It's a visually breathtaking epic that has to be seen to be believed, according to the description.
Okay, 2015.
You guys ever heard of this? Bāhubali?
No.
Right. Bāhubali.
It's like an action epic, so there's like...
Oh, sweet.
You know? I haven't seen it yet, so...
2 hours, 39 minutes long. Indian movie. Great. Number 144 top rated. Man.
Bāhubali: The Beginning. I have no idea what to expect. I'm excited.
How many B's? Bāhubali.
It's BAAHUBALI : the beginning on IMDb. It's got a
Widely available.
great rating, and that means so much. So if you don't want to spoil Bāhubali: the beginning, a long film, watch it before the next episode. These episodes come out every 2 weeks. If you want to support the show, patreon.com/Sardonicast or Sardonicast.com. Sign up for premium. You get these episodes early, $2 a month. We also got merch. You can buy some merch. And yeah, I guess I'll have to watch this movie.
Nice read.
I'll give it a fair chance.
Bāhubali.
I will give it an honest watch.
Yeah, I've seen some clips. It looks pretty fun.
I am very judgmental, but we'll see. We'll see. All right. I guess that's it. I got to get back to watching some Sundance movies now. So thank you, everybody, for watching, and have a happy Bāhubali: the beginning. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.